And yes, sir, you may speak to it.
At the outset, I want to state emphatically that I don't believe there's anyone in this room, certainly not this messenger, none of us are opposed to a Great Commission resurgence. We desperately need a Great Commission resurgence in the Missouri Baptist Convention. We need one in the Southern Baptist Convention. In Missouri, we're working toward it. We're heading in that direction, finally, coming off of a year when we've had more baptisms than in the years before. We need a Great Commission resurgence. We recognize that. We thank you, Dr. Hunt, for bringing the terms Great Commission resurgent to the lips of almost every single interested Southern Baptist. You said yesterday that at least the words Great Commission are on the lips of Southern Baptists. That's very true, and that's very appropriate, and we thank you for that emphasis that we've had. All of us appreciate the work of the Great Commission Task Force. Having served on some task force and committees, I know how difficult their task is, and I appreciate their hard work. However, Jesus in Luke chapter 14:28 admonished all Christians to count the cost prior to entering into any kind of major undertaking. We have not counted the cost of this report. That doesn't mean it's a bad report. It simply means that by asking me to vote on it at this time is premature. I need more information. The fact is we don't know the ramifications or the implications of the report. We don't know the financial ramifications. We don't know the organizational ramifications. How will the work of the North American Mission Board be affected through decentralization? We can line people up at these microphones and have several different opinions on that. Why don't we take some time and study that? Why don't we put those trustees that we have elected to serve NAM with that intent to work finding out how to do that? What will be the cost of decentralization? How will it look? The fact is we don't know that, and you're asking us to adopt these recommendations before we have full information. It's one of the pleas that I have. I never want to be an obstructionist. I never want to vote no. I never want to tell anybody no. But you're putting me in that position by not giving me full information. Let's take a year and let all of the agencies and the boards of our convention that we have elected and given them trust, let's trust them to look at these recommendations and come back to us next year with their take on what it will cost, what it will look like, and whether or not it will be effective. And then let us vote on this with full knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Task Force, wish to speak to the amendment, the motion.
If you would, to address that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Tolliver. As a matter of fact, we agree with you so emphatically. If you read the report, we are calling at every point for exactly what you're asking us to do. And that is why we brought a report that is deferential both to this convention and to the respective boards and of trustees of the entities. As you look at the actual recommendations, they are written as advised by legal counsel and those with special responsibility of the polity of this convention in order to do exactly what you're asking to do. If you follow the logic of this amendment, however, no committee will ever be able to bring any recommendation to the floor of this convention because this convention does not do the work of those boards of trustees. That's why we elect them. That's why we have them. We met as a task force with Dr. Chapman and with the legal counsel to the Southern Baptist Convention to be advised exactly how we should write these motions, and we have sought in every way as a task force to write these motions with due deference and appreciation for our polity to say exactly what it appears that this amendment would seek to have us to say, which is we're going to trust the trustee system, our Baptist polity, to move from this point onward. The real question is, are we going to move from this point onward? I pray the answer to that is yes.
Microphone 2A, would you state your motion, please?
I wonder, what's the vote required for an amendment? I'm Jan Bryant from Morrow Baptist Church in Morrow, Ohio.
A majority in most cases.
Okay, well, the previous amendment was neither passed nor failed. I call for a ballot vote.
The committee accepted the language of the amendment, and the amendment was overwhelmingly voted in.
It did not accept the wording that was given in the amendment. And this thing's slow. It changed the wording to what you prefer, but not what was on the amendment. I feel we are being bullied, and that is not appropriate for the Southern Baptist Convention.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we're going to ask you to stand right where you are, and we're going to come right back to you, and we're going to do an up and down vote on the amendment that was before us, on the motion to refer that's before us. The motion that will be before us will be whether or not to refer the entire report to the executive committee or not.
Okay. Now we're going to vote on that first.
We're going to vote on that first. Those of you that are in favor of sending this entire report to the executive committee, would you please raise your ballots? You may lower your ballots. Those opposed, would you raise? All right. The negative has it, and the motion is not referred. Going to ask Barry McCarty, our chief parliamentarian, to come for clarity.
One of the principal things that your president and all of us who serve him on the platform put foremost in our service up here is that we're always trying to help the messengers exercise their voice and their vote as clearly as possible. And in a large meeting where there are lots of microphones and complicated lighting systems, it's a rather complicated thing to help discern the will of the body. So in the ebb and flow of debate, here's what happened. There was an amendment offered from the floor by Messenger Waters. When the chair sought to ascertain your will on that, we had an idea of what we thought the vote was, but we couldn't tell for sure on the platform. The committee, rather than ordering a ballot vote that would take 35 to 40 minutes, the committee was agreeable with the language. The committee was willing to accept the language that had come from the messenger on the floor as a friendly amendment. They were in favor in a gesture of unity. And so the second vote was just to check in, rather than just letting the committee unilaterally accept that language. The chair sought to ascertain your will on the question. And from up here, you voted overwhelmingly in favor of agreeing with the messenger, agreeing with the committee, and in the spirit of unity, accepting the language. So that's what took place.